Only Pablo. My Ghana, my dim come America. Nana, Aquaba view.
Yeah, media.
Na, a dinner walk at Santamine.
You may catch a Santamine, so you're Santini, you should be proud. You should be able to tap your shoulders, say, we are Santini. Then I may come say, I'm Santini and Kahame. Because I couldn't have think of being a better place than being Ashanti. Santini naturally is a Santini of mine. This is America, but we're giving them back to back to back to back. Every event that we've had so far has been splendid. Moto ke dey be say I need your choice. That be I make catch them say if you come beat us, join us. And if you want to, learn from us, media make sure say at least your narrative is suit who you are.
Exactly.
This is Ashanti, you can't beat us, so join us.
That's right.
So on the 30th of August, we're bringing Akweside Kesiye to the American soil, whether you like it or not. It's up to you. But it will be nice. Maybe I come say copy is allowed. Is this particular show in the US is called Copy is allowed.
Okay.
Copy they are allowed.
Okay.
But copy to suit your narrative.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's it.
And so what is reserved for us now is the gem of conversations. I ask that we all remain seated as we continue with the rest of the programming.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Mia. Sorry,
Asantehene sebos motitien. Robia Asantehene kasange. Robia Asantehene kasange. Oseti chelu di nyarisio. Oseti chelu mo di nyarisio. Why the benya sadiso supani ni afaba masika babano. Why the benya sadiso supani ni afaba masika babano. Binya sebi ako baby. Oh binya sebi ako baby. Man no tell you about the fee kasange. Man no tell you about the fee kasange. She want to talk money. They want to talk money. What the food that you know chapel. Other for the youth for chapel. Oh, so the curious meditate. Oh, so the curious meditate. A chapel and Nadia serving. And a quarter and Nadia serving. I could see your blood more chapel. I could see your blood more chapel. A chapel is a trouble. Send it to everybody in your show. Send it to everybody in your show. Why the better second teacher watch that one say one piece cup of ano? Why the better second teacher watch that one say one piece cup of ano? Be a savior for baby. Oh, be a savior for baby. Have a cannon from below the Pharisee. Have a cannon from the Pharisee. Name on the window that for young men. Name on the window that for young men. Never met the body to the top champion. Yes, I'm not yet about you to that for champion. Both of the cars are man and the Japanese. Both of the cars are man and the Japanese. And Japanese Bob for no floor. And Japanese Bob for no floor. No floor from the before. No floor from the before. Was I before who never singing? Was I before who never singing? Oh, cross at another Casangin. Oh, cross at another Casangin.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I wonder whether you can endure another 25 minutes of my speech. After having been regaled with all those speeches, but then I've also been charged with to just address you on the raw vision for African economic renaissance, which I want to treat as a subject. After having listened to all the investment talk and everything, the question is, why is Africa not still developed? So that's the question I'm being asked as a king, the vision for African economic relations in the future. Looking at the video of Lagos, and when I was there in 2006, and looking at the transformation now, it makes me feel that it's possible for us to be able to do it. I consider it a privilege to address you at this important gathering in Washington, D.C. And I bring you greetings from Ghana, and then from a continent that stands today at one of the most important turning points in its modern history. We meet at a time when new technologies, changing supply chains, shifting centers of production, new energy systems, and the rapid emergence of young consumer markets are reshaping the global economy. Sure. At such a moment, every serious investor is asking where the next generation of growth will come from. Sure. Every government is asking where future industries will be located. Every financial institution is asking where capital can be deployed for long-term value. Sure. My message to this gathering is that Africa must no longer be regarded merely as a continent of future potential. Sure. Africa is already becoming a central part of the future global economy. Sure. And those who understand this early will position themselves advantageously. Sure. For too long, Africa has been described mainly in terms of its deficits. We have heard of the roads not built, the electricity not generated, the jobs not created, the capital not available, and the institutions not strong enough. So, these concerns are real, and responsible leadership must address them. Yet, it is equally necessary to ask what Africa possesses. Sure. Africa possesses a young population, immense natural resources, expanding cities, growing markets, fertile lands, strategic minerals, entrepreneurial talent, cultural influence, technological creativity, and a determination among its people to claim a different economic future. Sure. The great error would be to continue looking at Africa only through yesterday's problems while ignoring tomorrow's opportunities. History often rewards those who can recognize transformation before it becomes obvious to everyone else. Sure. Those who understand the rise of Asia decades ago positioned themselves early. Those who saw the digital revolution before it became universal created industries that now shape the world. Africa must now be studied with the same seriousness, not as an object of charity or sympathy, but as a continent in which significant economic value will be created over the coming decades. Sure. The African economic renaissance I speak of must, however, be different from the economic structures inherited from the past. It cannot be based simply on extracting raw materials and sending them abroad. Africa has contributed enormously to global prosperity through its resources. Sure. The continent has too often received only a fraction of the value generated from what it produces. This must change. We have cocoa, yet much of the wealth in chocolate is created elsewhere. Yes. We have gold and other valuable minerals, yet refining, processing, and advanced manufacturing often take place beyond our shores. We have bauxite, manganese, lithium, cobalt, and other minerals that are increasingly important to modern technology. Sure. Yet, our participation in the value chain is often concentrated at the earliest and least profitable stages. We have agricultural land, yet we import food that could be produced locally. We process natural wealth, yet too many communities near that wealth remain poor. Sure. The new Africa must therefore be built on value addition. Our ambition must not simply be to export more, but to produce more value before we export. Sure. We must refine what we mine, process what we harvest, manufacture what we consume, and increasingly develop African products for global markets. Sure. This is not a rejection of international partnership. It is an invitation to create a better kind of partnership. Sure. To the investors gathering, sure. I say that Africa needs your capital, technology, expertise, and access to international markets. But Africa also seeks partnerships that help create enduring productive capacity. Sure. When you invest in mining, help us develop our refinery and processing capabilities. When you invest in agriculture, help us to build storage, packaging, and food processing industries. When you invest in energy, help us strengthen local engineering and technical skills. Yeah. When you establish technology companies, train African programmers and develop African managers.
Jovem.
When you invest in health, help us build pharmaceutical manufacturing, diagnostics, and research capacity.
Jovem.
Investment should leave footprints that go beyond financial statements. It should build people, strengthen institutions, transfer knowledge, and create industries that remain long after the original investment has matured.
Jovem.
Best investment is one in which the investor prospers and the host society becomes more capable.
Jovem.
Africa must also overcome one of its greatest historical limitations: economic fragmentation. We have too often operated as small national markets separated by borders that increase costs and restrict commerce.
Jovem.
Yet the future of African prosperity depends on our ability to see the continent as an interconnected economic space.
Jovem.
Yesterday, when we were having discussions with Nana Uchusripo and Nana Penton about why Africa cannot have a position at the Security Council, it's just because Africa has not been able to position themselves to unite to nominate one or two companies to do that.
Jovem.
This is one of our predicaments. The African Continental Free Trade Area presents one of the most significant opportunities available to us. Its promise is not simply to increase trade between African countries, but to change how investors calculate the scale of African opportunities.
Jovem.
An investment in Ghana should increasingly be understood not simply as one serving Ghana's population, but as one positioned within a wider West African and continental market. The same principle should apply in Kenya, Rwanda, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, Senegal, Morocco, South Africa, and across the continent.
Jovem.
An integrated Africa will offer businesses scale. It will enable manufacturers to serve larger markets, encourage cross-border supply chains, improve industrial specialization, and make infrastructure investments more commercially viable.
Jovem.
It should also encourage African companies themselves to become continental enterprises rather than remaining permanently confined within their national borders in Nigeria or Ghana.
Jovem.
Ghana is honored to host the Secretariat of African Continental Free Trade in Accra, and I believe this carries a special responsibility.
Jovem.
Ghana must not merely host the institution, we must embody the spirit of integration by creating an investment environment that welcomes enterprise, encourages production, and strengthens trade with the rest of Africa.
Jovem.
The continent's greatest result, however, is not found beneath the soil, it is found in its people. Africa's young population represents both our greatest opportunity and our greatest responsibility. Millions of young Africans are entering adulthood with ambitions, education, digital awareness, and expectations far higher than those of previous generations.
Jovem.
They want to work, to innovate, to establish businesses, to participate in global industries, and to build meaningful lives within their own countries.
Jovem.
If we fail to create opportunities for them, we will create frustration. If we succeed, we will unleash one of the world's greatest productive forces. The difference between these two outcomes will depend largely on investment, education, governance, and the ability of our economies to create jobs at scale.
Jovem.
A young person with knowledge but no opportunity eventually becomes discouraged. An entrepreneur with a viable idea but no access to capital may never employ anyone.
Jovem.
A trained scientist without a laboratory may take their knowledge elsewhere. A farmer without access to technology remains trapped in low productivity.
Jovem.
An engineer without industry may become unemployed or underemployed.
Jovem.
These are not merely individual disappointments, they represent economic losses to entire continents.
Jovem.
This is why investment in Africa must be closely linked to skills development. The factory should also become a training ground. The hospital should also become a teaching institution. The mine should help create technical expertise. The technology companies should help create African innovators. The agricultural enterprise should help transform the farmer into a modern business person. The university should be connected to industry. and research should be connected to development.
Sure.
Education itself must therefore become central to our investment agenda. Africa cannot achieve an economic renaissance with educational systems disconnected from the needs of modern economies.
Sure.
We must expand technical and vocational education, strengthen science and engineering, invest in universities, improve research and encourage collaboration between education and industry.
Sure.
A continent that wishes to manufacture must train engineers. A continent that wishes to develop biotechnology must train scientists. A continent that wishes to enter the digital economy must train programs and data specialists. A continent that wishes to improve agriculture must train agricultural scientists and modern farmers. A continent that wishes to manage its own wealth must train economists, managers, accountants, and financial experts at the highest quality. Agriculture remains another major pillar of Africa's transformation. There's something fundamentally unacceptable about a continent with enormous agricultural potential importing substantial quantities of food while millions of its citizens face food insecurity.
Sure.
This contradiction must be overcome.
Sure.
The future of African agriculture is not subsistence farming. It is productivity, technology, processing, finance, and access to markets.
Sure.
We need irrigation systems that reduce dependence on rainfall, mechanization that improves efficiency, storage systems that reduce post-harvest losses, improve seeds, agricultural research, crop insurance, cold chain infrastructure, and modern logistics.
Sure.
We must also change how young Africans perceive agriculture. Farming must not be associated only with poverty and hardship. It must be possible for a young graduate to enter agriculture because it is profitable, technologically advanced, and capable of building wealth. When agriculture becomes a serious business, it will attract talent, capital, and innovation. Energy is equally indispensable. No country has industrialized without reliable power, and Africa cannot be the exception. Factories, hospitals, schools, digital systems, and modern agriculture increasingly require electricity.
Sure.
Africa's energy needs, therefore, represent both a challenge and a major investment opportunity. And our continent has significant solar, hydro, wind gas, and other energy resources. What is needed is capital, technology, infrastructure, and effective policy to convert these resources into reliable power for households and industry.
Sure.
When power reaches a community, the effects are immediate and profound. Children can study for longer hours, businesses can operate more efficiently, cleaners can use modern equipment, farmers can store produce, small manufacturers can expand production, and digital connectivity becomes possible.
Sure.
Energy is therefore not simply a sector of the economy, it is an enabler of every other sector.
Sure.
The digital economy represents another opportunity Africa must seize. The continent has already demonstrated its ability to innovate in areas such as mobile finance, digital payments, and technology-driven services.
Sure.
But we should not stop there. African companies and entrepreneurs must participate in artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, cloud computing, digital health, e-commerce, logistics, education technology, agricultural technology, and software development.
Sure.
The digital revolution is particularly important because it allows Africa to overcome some traditional barriers to development.
Sure.
A young entrepreneur does not always need a large industrial complex to reach international markets.
Sure.
With connectivity, skills, capital, and a good idea, a business can emerge from Kumasi or Kigali and reach customers around the world.
Sure.
Investors should therefore pay close attention to Africa's technology ecosystems. Many of the companies that will shape Africa's future may still be small today.
Sure.
Some may be operating from modest offices. Some may not yet be known outside their cities. Yet history teaches us that large companies often begin as small ideas that found support at the right moment.
Sure.
health must also become part of the continental investment conversation. Africa's experience during the COVID-19 pandemic demonstrated the dangers of excessive dependence on external sources of medicines, vaccines, diagnostics, and essential equipment. The lesson is clear. Africa must build stronger health industries of its own. This creates significant opportunities in pharmaceutical manufacturing, medical devices, diagnostics, hospital development, health insurance, digital health, biotechnology, and research. These are sectors where investment can generate returns while also strengthening national resilience and improving the lives of millions. The economic case for health investment is straightforward. A healthy population is more productive. Children learn better when they are healthy. Workers perform better when they are healthy. And families are more economically secure when illness does not push them into poverty. Health systems should therefore be seen as essential infrastructure for development. Yet, while we ask investors to look seriously at Africa, we must also address the responsibility of African leadership. We cannot invite investment and then make business unnecessarily difficult. We cannot ask capital to come while tolerating corruption, unpredictable policies, weak contract enforcement, and excessive bureaucracy. Investors require certainty. They must know that lawful contracts will be respected, regulations will be clear, disputes can be resolved fairly, and governments will honor legitimate obligations. They must know that a successful business will not suddenly be punished simply because of political change. They must know that competence matters more than connections. African governments must therefore understand that good governance is in itself an economic asset. Stability is an investment incentive. The rule of law is an incentive for investment. Predictability is an investment incentive. Efficient public institutions are investment incentives. Transparent taxation is an investment incentive. These are as important as natural resources. Corruption, by contrast, is not merely a moral problem, it's an economic obstacle. It raises costs, discourages investments, weakens public institutions, rewards inefficiency, and ultimately transfers the burden to the ordinary citizen. Africa cannot build world-class economies while tolerating practices that make serious enterprise unnecessarily difficult. At the same time, investors must also recognize their responsibilities. Africa does not seek another era in which wealth leaves the continent while host communities remain poor. Responsible investment must respect the environment, workers, local communities, national laws, and cultural values. The best companies will understand that local development is not an obstacle to profitability. It's part of long-term business stability. Companies that train local workers, support local suppliers, communicate with communities, and respect national laws create stronger foundations for their own success. For this reason, traditional leadership plays an important role in Africa's development. I speak as the occupant of an institution that has existed for centuries, and I believe traditional authority remains relevant precisely because development occurs within the communities they live. Investors may see land on a map, communities see inheritance, livelihood, history, and identity. Government may see an industrial project. Local people may see opportunities, anxieties, and questions about their future. Traditional institutions can help create understanding between these different perspectives. In Asante, our institutions have survived because they have adapted without losing their foundations. Tradition and modern developments are not opposites. People can preserve its identity and still welcome technology, modern infrastructure, and international investment. Economic progress does not require cultural amnesia. Indeed, Africa's ability to modernize without losing itself may become one of its greatest strengths. People who know who they are can engage the world with confidence. Cultural confidence should therefore not be confused with resistance to change. Permit me in this regard to speak about Ghana and particularly Kumasi. Ghana has long been regarded as one of Africa's stable democracies and an important gateway to West Africa. Our country offers opportunities in agriculture, mining, manufacturing, energy, tourism, technology, and education and health. And in fact, Nigeria has followed suit because they are brothers. So as we pursue democracy, they follow us. Within Ghana, Kumasi has a special place. It has long been a center of commerce, enterprise, and culture. It's surrounded by productive agricultural communities, connected to important mining and commercial areas, and supported by investors in educational institutions that provide human capital. But by saying that, I also talk about my region, Western region also. So that's where I was tutored and brought. So if I'm inviting investors, they have to look at Western region also for me. I invite investors gathered here to look closely at Kumasi and the Ashanti region and the Western region. There's room for advanced manufacturing, agro-processing, health investment, technology, tourism, transport, education, and real estate development. There's room for partnerships with local businesses and opportunities to serve markets far beyond the regions itself. I also wish to address the Africans in the diaspora. Your relationship with Africa must move beyond memory and emotion, as I said last Tuesday, into investment and enterprise. The diaspora possesses experience, knowledge, professional networks, and capital that can play an important role in Africa's transformation. Return does not always mean physically relocating. It can mean investing in an African company, mentoring an entrepreneur, doing research, supporting a university, establishing a hospital, financing agriculture, or creating a technology partnership. It can mean connecting African businesses to international markets and helping African talent gain access to global networks. The relationship between Africa and the wider world must also move gradually beyond the traditional framework of aid. Aid has played an important role in saving lives in many circumstances, but no continent can build lasting prosperity primarily through aid. The language of Africa's future must increasingly become the language of trade, investment, technology, enterprise, and partnership. Instead of asking only what the world can give Africa, we must ask what Africa and the world can create together. This change in outlook is essential. Africa does not seek partnership simply because it has needs. Africa seeks partnership because it has value. It has markets, resources, people, creativity, geography, and opportunity. The relationship must therefore be founded on mutual interest and mutual respect. We must also remember that economic growth is meaningful only when it improves human lives. A country may record impressive growth statistics and still fail its people if that growth does not create jobs, improve education, expand healthcare, and reduce insecurity. The true measure of an economic renaissance is therefore not only the number of factories we build or the volume of trade we record. It is whether young people can find work, farmers can earn decent incomes, families can obtain health care, children can receive quality education, and citizens can live with dignity. Prosperity that does not reach ordinary people eventually becomes unstable. Development must therefore be broad enough to create hope, not merely wealth. The Africa I envision is one in which natural resources are transformed into industries, agricultural products are converted into global brands, young people are creators rather than merely job seekers, and African companies compete confidently in international markets. I envision a continent where modern trains and roads connect cities and markets, where electricity is reliable, where universities produce world-class research, where African pharmaceuticals supply African hospitals, and where technology companies born in Africa serve customers throughout the world. I envision an Africa in which investors see opportunity rather than fear, and in which Africans themselves approach their future with confidence rather than resignation. To the international business community, my appeal is therefore simple. Look at Africa again and look carefully. Do not rely only on inherited perceptions. Study the individual markets. Study the reforms. Study the entrepreneurs. Study the young populations. Study the emerging industries. And study the opportunities created by integration. Those who arrive only when every uncertainty has disappeared may discover that the greatest opportunities have already been taken by those who understood earlier. To African leaders, I say we must create conditions that justify investor confidence. To African businesses, I say that we must think beyond national borders. To the diaspora, I say that Africa needs your capital and expertise. To international investors, I say that Africa is ready for serious partnership. Among the Asante, leadership is understood as stewardship. The king does not own the kingdom in the ordinary sense. He holds it in trust for those alive today and for generations yet unborn. This understanding carries an important lesson for everyone who holds power or responsibility. But political leaders are trustees of nations. Business leaders are trustees of institutions. Investors are trustees of capital. Traditional leaders are trustees of culture and community. Each generation inherits opportunities created by those before it and carries a duty to improve them for those who will follow. 100 years from today, another generation will examine the choices we make now. They will ask whether we use Africa's resources wisely, whether we educated our young people, whether we built institutions, whether we created industries, and whether we converted potential into prosperity. They may ask whether global investors saw Africa merely as a source of commodities, or whether they helped build enduring businesses and institutions. They may ask whether African governments dared to reform systems that discourage enterprise. They may ask whether we understood the importance of integration, technology, and human culture. It is within our power to ensure that history gives a favorable answer. The African economic renaissance will not happen because we speak about it. It will happen because governments reform, investors commit capital, entrepreneurs innovate, communities participate, young people acquire skills, and institutions earn trust. Africa does not ask the world to carry it. Africa asks the world to partner with it. That partnership must be confident, fair, practical, and ambitious. It must move beyond distraction towards production, beyond transactions towards relationship, and beyond short-term gain towards the long-term value. To every serious investor listening to me today, I extend an invitation to enter Africa with imagination and patience. Come to build companies that will still matter decades from now. Come to form partnerships with African entrepreneurs. Come to develop industries, technologies, and skills that strengthen both your business and the communities in which you operate. The opportunities are significant. The work is enormous, and the rewards can be transformative. As we act wisely, this generation can help create an Africa that is more productive, more prosperous, more confident and more respected within the global economy. That is the Africa I believe is possible. It is an Africa that honors its history while building its future. While its investment while protecting its dignity and engages the world not from weakness but from confidence. May this summit therefore become more than another gathering of speeches and promises. May it produce partnerships, investments, factories, technology, jobs, businesses, and institutions that future generations can point to as evidence that we understood the opportunity before us. May God bless Africa, may God bless the United States of America, and may He bless all those who seek to build a relationship between Africa and the world founded upon enterprise, mutual respect, shared prosperity, and peace. I thank you all.
With the voice and wisdom of his ancestors, this is certainly the time that lives on. The King of Asante, His Majesty Otumfour Osegutu II. Please be seated. Many thanks to you, Your Majesty, for those words of gold. You show us that the King's authority, used rightly, can move capital as surely as it can move culture. We thank you for those warm thoughts that you shared with us. We're cognizant of your very busy schedule and are very appreciative of the time you spent here with us. Your Majesty, we promise that we shall deliberate and revert with very tangible and fruitful outcomes on this theme that you have chosen for us. Before you take leave of us, however, we have a little request that you honor one distinguished son of Africa who embodies our theme. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we confer on a beloved son of our soil the award for International Best Business. It is my pleasure to invite His Majesty the Asantehene, ably assisted by the President and founder of the Millennium Excellence Foundation, Pastor Shemorton, and that's my privilege to please proceed to the front to do this honor. From the foundations of the KGL Group, he has raised an indigenous enterprise that now moves fluently across technology, gaming, digital innovation, finance, healthcare, sports, and social impact, not as scattered ventures, but as single deliberate architecture. Proof that African capital, African ingenuity, and African ambition can build institutions of global consequence. That is the mandate of this summit, and that's what it calls on us to fulfill. And so for his uncommon success in enterprise, for his unwavering advocacy for African economic self-determination, and for demonstrating through the enduring institution he has built that Ghana and Africa can compete anywhere in the world and win, the Millennium Excellence Foundation, on the authority of its life patron, Otumfour Osegutu II, the Asantehene, is honored to confer on Mr. Alex Apau Dade the award for International Best Business. Congratulations, Mr. Alex Apau Dade, Executive Group Chairman of the KGL Group. You stand out today as the recipient of International Best Business. Ladies and gentlemen, please a round of applause. Nanaji, my brother, you need to do the honor, please. I can stand on the soil. Congratulations. Your Majesty, if it pleases you, I'd like to have 3 photo opportunities with you here in Gabon. The first will be with all the members on the front row. Respectfully, I ask that you please join His Majesty. The second will be with all our governors. All our governors. Members of the governing board of the Millennium Excellence Foundation. Yours is the next. All our governors, please, let's make it snappy. The last will be with representatives of all our sponsors. Members of the governing board, please. Finally, all our sponsors, GIPA, 24 Economy Accelerated Export Development, African Business, African Banker, New African, ACP Holdings, Atlantic Capital Group, Twin Cap Consulting, Star Oil, Boston Energies, Golden Cement, Ghana Limited, Ghana Link, Margins Group, NHI, Just More, and KTL.
That was not eti na Kenya zema obeto so man na wo kasa enti kire makosi de na eba
ade ye bai ye kwanu chuku yanya ya boye mra ne dada se kutu ye bedi ne bam ye bedi ne kutu ye bai nya yenko ane ba ye ye ne ye sofo ba ko pe Asantehene Roger bra se mi jira mahume Asantehene Roger so taye wurachi ten odi ne magu akwan nti ade na ye no onyame edikan so mu dada enti nyame bo akosie da ebe ano be ye ten yen moja nti ye nsuro ye ba na ye ba ye kwa na ye ko me se ye sheda twete kitisi ye bedi ye wurachi ya ba Maryland Washington DC ye be di ye wurachi den akuku dam baabi asofo for baabi edika be chia ye wura eye nnura e wo fie enan soso ne ye be se de na meka no Asantehene no no ho aho o say Western region development ne ba ye fa bi nko ho wo ho wo mamba pa no Asantehene no se madika aka say ewiase na ye wo no ye Otumfour mienu pe wo mo ne yesom wo mo Otumfour Nyankopon that's right uwie a Otumfour say tu mi wura pia mi wura me se me dawo Nyankopon hira onye okese ye ba ye Kenya se one ye ba ye wura pe ba bia ma ya da ye kwasoso a
sabepe bo hweso no de mako
wo de be hye botom
mako asomdwem
am ye kodura somdwem twedi ampon no de ye ba ye nim so obesan de nyina kwa asomdwem ye de ye ba for 2 weeks pe o de abaje me nhwe ye wura ye suwo na sanya nkwada
ya ma Asantehene Roger so nkasa kakra Asantehene Roger akwapa na se se no akwasi de ba na hema se de wo kan wo se waye bibia wo e de na beba so mayinti
nyame de nkwache akwasi ada do mo e ba na no wode ebi nsida chese ano eye den na ye ba nyina ene na nanom na natepa ma hene mo
na so ha se
ye ne abrempon na bibia da na kwen
that's right
ye defenders
that's right
ye bo number 5 wachiro na mampon hema mo chese Asante efe ena wa mo Asante se mu ahia wa walusu ade bebre anu ti Sunday mo bia antena fie na de omni se Sunday na nya suit ye nyina ye dan ya Asante sem
Asante sem no Asante
atade me onyame difo me fura me ntoma
Asante sem hu hia
na wa asore ba
na
anti kwasiada ye be hia ama bibia be wi Radin enhyira obia momodin so be subscribe nyame adom
me buy o see the reason show make sure so Roger Akasansa
nyame adom eno nti no obia nso momodin so be follow the page no obia follow the reason show na niam apankon na o ye se bia adwene ne adwuma Asante ho niam ahia eno nti obia follow
Asante Roger yedase pa etia no so no Asante Roger no maka na ahima academy me do so pepe dia mama ansa ne what to expect for Akweside coming in Maryland.
In March this year, we launched. In March this year, I came here at this very place to come and launch the Akweside 2026 version. So I told people what to expect.
Okay.
I told them, say, on the 30th of August, they're going to see Otumfour like they've never seen before.
Wow.
In his full regalia, with his paramount chiefs and his paramount queen mothers, plus his own elders.
Wow.
It's going to be a spectacular event.
Wow.
You're inviting people from all over the places. The county executive of the Prince George County, which is Aisha Bridgewaters, only what to expect. The Ghana High Commission, Dr. Smith, apart from that, various and other important dignitaries. We want people to understand, say, we are a spectacle. It's reality.
Okay.
So we are bringing Akweside to the American soil, same as we do in Kumasi.
Wow.
So people should expect something they've never seen before, they've never witnessed before. So if you're a Ghanaian, if you're an Ashanti, come in your numbers and come and watch this spectacular event. It's going to be mega. That's all I can say.
Okay, thank you.